Hey, it's Josh, welcome to the channel. Thank you so much for stopping by and I hope you're having a good day. Alright, so today I wanted to cook up a rage beat. I'm not sure if rage is actually an official genre yet, but from my understanding it's sort of like combining really gritty EDM with trap. And nowadays we have artists like wrld, SoFaygo, and Carson who make music in that genre. But personally, I really like the energy that it brings out and I'm definitely looking forward to more music from artists like that. But yeah, here's how you might go about making a rage beat in Logic. I'll be covering sound selection and drums, so stay tuned for all of that, but without further ado, let's get into it. So first off, let me play the melody that I made and then I'll break down everything that's inside of it. Alright, but getting right into it, as you can see, I made this melody at 149 BPM. I'd say that if you're sticking in between 140 and 160, that should be a good tempo range to work in. Anything lower or anything faster might be too extreme, so try and stick in between that range. Now, what's really the foundation in this melody, in my opinion, is this aggressive synth. And this might come as a surprise to you, but I actually got it from Logic's stock synth called Ensemble Synth. I picked the Bright Strings preset and I turned down the attack and release a little bit, and then I made this relatively simple chord progression. And then I put this counter melody on top. You could call it a counter melody, but it sort of acts as a lead. And then I switched it up a little bit on the second bar. But really, it's nothing too special, it is just a chord progression. If you've heard Mr. Radro songs like that, you probably understand by now that having these really aggressive synths is pretty much the most important part about the melody. And I would argue that in some songs, it's the most important thing in the entire song itself. So if you want to make a rage beat as well, I definitely recommend making sure that you have a solid synth sound first. Next up, I took this plugg one shot and then I just copied over the chords, but I put a little bit of a counter melody again on top. As you can see, I have a little bit of reverb on that. The main synth that we're using is really aggressive and it's very upfront and forward. So if you're going to add more instruments, you wouldn't want them to be too present because then it would clash with the synth. And a good way to do that is just to put reverb on it to make it sit in the background more. Next up, I took a bell one shot and I put an ARP on it, and then of course I just copied over the chords. I did wash it out with reverb quite a bit. There's multiple instruments here with a fast attack that are very upfront and present, so washing this bell ARP out with a lot of reverb can actually make it sound sort of like a pad and put it a lot more in the back. Next up, I took this synth bass from Alchemy called Analog Unison Lead. There's not much to say about this, I just took the bass line from the previous chords. Then I took another sound from Alchemy called Simple Analog. And then lastly, I used this flute one shot. I used reverb and some delay and I just made this lead. Alright, but I'm going to move on to the drums now, starting off with the clap. And actually, I think I'm going to use a snare in the hook rather than a clap. Pretty much just the type of hi-hat patterns that you would see in pure bourne type beats. Next up, I'm going to add some open hats, and I don't think I'm going to use any percussion whatsoever. Alright, here are the open hats. And that hits every other bar, and it kind of just brings up the bounce a little bit. But I'm going to move on to the 808 now.
One day they gon' know.
I copied over the pattern from the Analog Unison Lead, but then I just chopped it up a little bit. I think throughout the entire beat I'm going to alternate between this 808 and this 808. And next up is going to be the kick. Okay, I did end up changing the 808 a little bit. I thought that if I had some 808 glides, it might make the 808 sound more interesting, and the kick still pretty much just hits in time with the 808. So let me just play how everything sounds together. Alright, well that was a nice little cook-up. I do think I did a pretty good job capturing that rage vibe. Let me know what you thought about this beat or what tutorial you want to see me do next. I'm gonna rearrange this and then play it at the ends of the video. But thank you so much for watching. I hope you found this helpful or enjoyable, and if you did, feel free to subscribe for more content just like this. Thanks again for stopping by. Have a good rest of your day, and as always, I'll see you soon.
Josh, one day they don't know.